So we're continuing the same style and theme that we've done the last few weeks. Namely, we're looking at a passage in Pirkei Avot, in Ethics of Our Fathers, looking at the passage itself, and then exploring layers of interpretation for the same text. As I mentioned, of course, I'm sure many of you know that it is customary almost universally amongst Jewish communities to study Pirkei Avot every week, one chapter between Pesach and Shavuos, and Chabad custom is, and I think other communities also, is to extend that all the way till Rosh Hashanah. So this coming Shabbos, right, there are 6 chapters total, 6 weeks, and this week we'd be studying chapter 5 of Pirkei Avot. Okay, I apologize for the noise in the background. There's not much I can do about it, unfortunately. So here's the Mishnah. As you can see, it's Perek Hey, that's chapter 5, Mishnah Yud, paragraph or Mishnah 10 of chapter 5. So we'll look at it in English. There are 4 character types amongst men. So 4 types. Number 1, he who says, what is mine is yours, and what is yours is mine. That's just an ignoramus. Like mine belongs to you, yours belong to mine. Okay. Number 2, he who says, what is mine, and what is yours is yours. So this is the median characteristic. He's being very fair. What's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. But some say that is a characteristic of the people of Sodom. People of Sodom, of course, are the people that were destroyed in the time of Abraham. Abraham tried to pray on their behalf. Lot was saved from that town. And they were known for not sharing. So one could say it's, the average person, what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. But there's another way of saying this, which says no sharing, that's not a healthy society. And therefore, this is characteristic of Sodom. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 is he who says, what is mine is yours, and what is yours is yours. Now, that's the chassid, the pious one, the benevolent one. Not only does he tell you to keep your own, but he shares of his own. And number 4 is the inverse. What is yours is mine, and what is mine is mine. That's the wicked person. He keeps things for himself and then wants to take from others. Okay. So exchange is ignorant. Keep things in place is either median or the character of Sodom. All wealth transferred to the other person. That's the chassid, the benevolent one. And all wealth transferred to me, to this person, that would be the wicked one. So those are our 4 characters. There are a number of things to be pointed out about this Mishnah that some of the commentaries are going to address. And one of the questions, for example, is, what does this mean that the chassid says what's mine is yours and what's yours is yours? By Jewish law, one should not give away everything they own and leave himself and his family penniless. So what does this mean when he says what is yours is yours? What's mine is yours? That doesn't seem to be wise or even proper. One question. Another question that comes up is, why is this the defining feature of one's character? Another question that's going to come up is, when we say the wicked person and as well as the wise person who says what's mine is yours and what's yours is yours, or what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine, the redundancy, although it flows with the Mishnah, but there seems to be redundancy. If what's mine is yours, that's the pious part. But what's yours is yours, that's not piety, that's just regular. What's yours belongs to you. Right? And the same thing is true with the wicked person. When he says what's mine is mine, that's not what makes him wicked. What makes him really wicked is that he says what's yours is mine. But yet both of those phrases are there, even though the mainstay of what makes him pious or wicked is only one of the 2 things. Right? The fact that the pious one says what's yours is yours doesn't make him super pious. It just makes him regular. And the fact that the wicked man says what's mine is mine is the median, or maybe Sodom, but not the wicked. The wicked is that he says what's yours is mine. So these are some of the questions we're going to address. Now to the first question, we have here Medrash Shmuel, but others say a similar thing. This is a classic commentary which says that when the Mishnah says that the pious one is one who is giving what's mine is yours, doesn't mean he's completely leaving himself penniless and ownerless, because that's wrong. That's not right. But rather it means that he gives up the max that he possibly can, and maybe even more than the max, but not that he leaves himself completely penniless. That's what most of the classic commentaries say on this Mishnah. Now, another classic commentary, this second paragraph here, another classic commentary is that when the person says what's mine is yours and what's yours is what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine, and so on and so forth, it's not a question of giving it away completely, but rather allowing people to make use of my property, lending and borrowing. So the pious one is one who's not looking to borrow from anybody else, but happy to lend to anybody. Right? And the wicked one is one who never lends to anyone else, but is willing to borrow from others. And this would explain the redundancy, because what makes him pious is not simply that he's willing to lend to others, but also the fact that he won't want to burden others by borrowing from them. And then what makes the wicked so wicked is not only that he takes from others, but that he also doesn't share of his own. Right? So when you put it in terms of borrowing and lending, not just a question of giving away charity, then it changes what this all means, right? We say, what's mine is yours, I'm happy to lend to you. And what's yours is yours, you don't have to lend back to me. So the second clause, what's yours is yours, is not redundant, it's not unnecessary, it's part of what makes him pious. That he's willing, that he's not looking to burden others by borrowing from them. And the same thing with the wicked. What is yours is mine, I'll borrow from anybody anytime, but what's mine is mine, I'll never lend to anybody. That adds to his wickedness. As opposed to when it's a question of giving away property, the wicked is more in the fact that what's yours is mine, that I'm taking money from others rather than giving money to others. But it's a question of lending and borrowing, now it goes both ways. Okay. Another interpretation. Okay, this is a similar one. He says the same thing about borrowing and lending, allows other people to use it and so on, but he gives more details. So let's see the first one who says, what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. So he says, look, I'm not going to lend to anybody else, but I also don't borrow from anybody else. So that could be median, or that could be sedaim, in which no one's lending, no one's sharing. So he says, I'm not going to borrow from anybody else, but I'm also not going to lend to anybody else. And then you have the person who says, what's mine is yours. I'm going to lend to you. If you ever ask me, I'll lend to you. But you also get to lend back to me. Now that, said the Mishnah, is the ignoramus. The ignoramus is the one who says it's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. And the reason he's an ignoramus is because I can make conditions on my own property. So I can decide I'll lend to you. But I can't make statements about your property and say, you'll lend to me. I can't force you to do that. So, which is why he's just ignoramus here. Right? That was the first one of the four characters, the one who says, mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. And what makes him so, amaretz, ignoramus, is that I can lend to others, no problem, but I can't force other people to lend to me. And then the one who says, what's mine is yours, you can borrow from me whenever you need. But what's yours is yours, I'm never going to burden you to borrow from you. And then finally, the one who says, what's yours is mine, I'm happy to borrow, but I will never lend. And that's the wicked. So he gives more detail to explain the four categories if we read it as lending. Now this comes from the Medrash Chachamim, and this is very interesting. So he addresses this question of, why is this the defining feature of what makes them a character? Why is this, there's four categories in the character of men. Why is this, the defining moment of their characteristic comes down to this. What's mine is yours, or what's yours is mine, and how we react to all of that. And which one of the four categories we fall into. So he says like this. It's a question of a moment split second reaction. Two people are partners, say, and they come to, divide the profit. So oftentimes it's clear who gets which profit and how much each person gets. No problem. But then there are times when if there's some money that's unclear which one of the partners get it. And the first reaction, that's going to be the defining moment of his character. If my first thought is, it might very likely belongs to my friend. His share is definitely his, but that's in doubt, this money that we're not sure about, likely also belongs to him. That's the person who's pious, because his gut reaction is to think the other person deserves to get that share. And that's why he says, what's yours is yours, certainly, because that's your share in the business or in the deal. But then that other part might also be yours. So even that which is mine, that little part might be mine. It's probably also yours. So when he says what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours, when he says what's mine is yours and what's yours is yours, he's actually talking about the same money that's in doubt here. He says, whatever belongs to you certainly belongs to you, but even the part that might be mine, I don't know, maybe it's yours also, right? And the inverse would be with the one who's the wicked, the one whose gut reaction is to say, oh, it all belongs to me. Because that's his natural instinct, is it's all mine. So that's another very interesting way of understanding this. Right? And the reason why he says what's mine is yours and what's yours is because he kind of gives it interesting, like it's a rationale. The reason why I want what's mine to be yours, meaning this money that's in doubt here, I want it to be in your hands so that you certainly get everything you own. I don't want to, God forbid, be owning money that belongs to you. So I'd rather you take a little bit of what's mine, so long as I know for sure that what belongs to you, you definitely have. So what's mine is yours, so that way I know for sure what yours is yours. So like this money that's in doubt, we're not sure who it belongs to, I'll let you take it because I don't want to, God forbid, be owning any money that's yours, that's legitimate yours. Even if it means that by giving it to you, I may have lost some of my own, so be it, as long as I know for sure that you're keeping your share. So what's mine is yours, so that I'm certain that you have whatever's yours, right? So let's just be clear. I'm not sure if I was clear on that. Let's just re-explain this, right? There's partners and they have a deal and they're splitting the profit. So there's sometimes it's clarity. This belongs to that partner. This belongs to that partner. And then sometimes there's some money in the middle and it's not clear who gets what. So within this money, there's probably some of it that belongs to me and some of it that belongs to my partner. So how do I go about dealing with this? So the really pious one is the one whose instinct says, look, let him keep that money. Even if what's mine is yours, even if what's something of mine is going to end up in that person's hands, I'll let him do that. So long as I am 100% certain that he has all of his own money. Because if I took the whole thing, it's possible that a lot of it is mine, but it's also possible that I'll end up taking some of his money. And therefore, in order to be sure that all of what's his belongs to him, I'm willing to even give some of my own. That's really the pious one here. Whereas the wicked one's in the inverse. I want to make sure I have all of mine. And if that means I take a little bit of yours, okay. But as long as I get all of mine, right? What's yours is mine, so that what's mine is mine. I want to make sure that I get my full share. And if that means there might be some money that belongs to the other guy, so what? As long as I for sure got everything that belongs to me. Right? So this is a very interesting way of understanding it. And it puts kind of a focus on how we deal with money when it's in doubt, and whose money are we more scrupulous with, our own or the others? We're willing to maybe sacrifice some of our own, so long as the other person gets their share, or would we rather the other person maybe sacrifice theirs, so long as I got my fair share? So that's a very interesting reading. In a similar vein, we have this comment here, Pea Bakama, who writes as follows. When I come to collecting payment and making payments, what's my way of dealing with it? So when I make payments, I'm okay paying a little extra just so that I'm 100% certain that the person got everything that's due to him in my payment. That's the pious one. But when I come to collect payments, I'm going to be 100% certain that I'm not taking an extra penny, because I don't want to, God forbid, be taking something that doesn't belong to me. Right? There's what's mine is yours. I'll give you a little extra of what I owe you just to make sure that I'm paying you in full. Right? So shali shalach, what's mine is yours. I'll give you an extra I don't know, dollar in payment just to make sure I'm not ripping you off. And then when the inverse, when someone pays me, I'm going to take no more than what's absolutely comes to me, because I don't want to be taking extra. And if it means that in the end I made a little less profit than I could have made, so be it. What's mine is yours. Right? And the inverse is the wicked. The wicked one wants to make sure that he gets his max profit. And if it means the other person got ripped off a little bit, okay, as long as I got my max profit. But when it comes to paying his payments, he's going to make sure he's paying the minimum amount. And if the other person ends up not getting as much profit as he could have, so too bad, as long as I got the best deal possible. So this is another way of reading this, similar to the one before, in which there's money in doubt. And the question is, am I going to be forgiving on what might be my share, so as long as the other person gets their share? Similarly here, it's a question of giving payment and collecting payment. When I pay out, do I make sure I'm paying in full and give a little extra just to be sure? And when I take payment, I make sure I'm not taking a penny more than what I absolutely owe to me. And if it means that I didn't get as much profit, so be it. Okay. So all of this so far.
Just how would that go with then if it's mine is yours and yours is mine? How would you go with that one?
Good question. So he doesn't actually interpret them. So that's a really good question. Actually, maybe in the previous paragraph here he does. I don't remember. Let's think. What's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. I guess he's doing both. He's collecting extra and paying extra. I'd have to look it up in the source.
Yeah, I don't know. It would seem to me like he would kind of keep it for himself, because what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. It's like it's a no person value. So whatever's found has to be mine. Like, I don't know. That's how it would seem to me.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Okay. Now, thank you, but everything till now has been a question of monetary issue. Now we have it from the Beis Yisrael, a commentary that makes it's rather interesting. Nothing to do with between one man and his fellow, nothing to do with monetary value, but between man and God. So he says like this: one who says, what's mine is yours, God. I will serve you. But what's yours is mine. You better pay up for everything I've done for you. That's the ignoramus. That's not the right way to serve God. Then there's the one who says, what's mine is mine. My life is mine. And then what yours, you God, you also got to bless me too. And that's just the wicked one. Completely self-indulgent. His life is his own. Plus he wants God to reward him. And then you have the one who says, what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. Says, look, God, I'm not going to serve you. You don't give me any blessings. Leave me alone. And I'll leave you alone. That's the Sodom one. That's the people of Sodom will completely ignore the whole project. And then finally, there's the pious one who says, what's mine is yours, God. I'm willing I'll serve you. But what's yours is yours. You don't owe me anything just because I served you. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you. You owe me nothing. That's the pious one. Right? So he changes the whole thing to be between man and God, rather than between man and man, an issue of monetary issues. But a question of how I serve God. Do I serve God with the expectation that I deserve to get paid back? Do I say God owes me everything and I owe him nothing? Or do I say, all I have, God, is from you, and therefore I will serve you happily, and you owe me nothing. Whatever you give me, thank you very much. This is the pious one at the end of the Mishnah. So I thought that was also very interesting reading. Okay.
Rabbi Levi?
Yes.
Sorry, Shana. Isn't that sort of similar to, I don't remember what parsha it is, but when they talk about the paid guardian versus the unpaid guardian with objects, isn't it a similar idea about the renters, the borrowers, the paid, the not paid?
Yep, very interesting. That's true.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could make parallels, because there's 4 categories there, right?
Yeah, you could. I'm sure you could. I just don't know what parsha it is offhand, but it reminded me of it.
But there's the unpaid guardian, the paid guardian, the renter, and the borrower.
Yeah. Sounds similar to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be very interesting.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's very good. Thank you. I have to put more thought into that, but that's really good.
Thanks.
So you throw earlier also Elza, I think, shared something. I like that. It's very good.
Great, thank you.
I guess kind of the idea here, look at one Mishnah and you see it's not myopic in how you can understand it. There's layers and layers, and so long as it's all leading to a positive outcome, you can add as many layers as you'd like, which is great. Okay. Now another commentary here takes it back to between man and his friend, also with the question of monetary issues between man and friend. But here he says something very interesting, where he says that when the pious one says, what's yours is yours and what's mine is yours, what he means to say is as follows. What he means to say is that I don't want you to be embarrassed by the fact that you're taking from me. And therefore, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you feel about my stuff as if it's yours. So just like what's yours is yours and you have no qualms about it, you're not embarrassed by the things you have because they belong to you. You don't feel a sense of shame. You've earned them and they belong to you. So I want you to feel as comfortable with my things in the same way, right? Okay, I don't know if you have this experience, but when you're a bacher in yeshiva, you're a single man, you're in yeshiva living away from home, overseas and whatnot, you often get invitations from people who say, oh, come whenever, you have nowhere to go for Shabbat, come to my house, no problem. And with some time, you can kind of see who meant it sincerely. They make you feel, when you come, you feel so comfortable there that when they tell you come back unannounced, they mean it, right? So that's kind of what the pious person is doing here. It's not just that he's giving, many people give, and everybody gives. But what makes him pious here is that he says, what's mine is yours, just like what's yours is yours. You feel comfortable eating at your own home, you should feel equally comfortable eating in mine. Because what's mine is yours, just like what's yours is yours. So it's not a question of whether we're giving or not, it's a question of how we give. And when we give, do we make the people feel like they're taking from me? Or do I make them feel like, no, it's yours to begin with. It doesn't matter. It's so not a big deal. So now he's adding a layer here. And it's not more, till now it's been a question of, are you giving a little extra on payment? Are you making sure the other person doesn't lose out in his share of the deal? Or what were the other ones we had earlier? Borrowing and lending, or a business deal, or what was it? This was the business deal. This was borrowing, yeah. Or just classically giving charity or not. Here he's turning it into the way in which you give charity. Or not just, it doesn't have to be charity because that's the wrong word, it's someone, even amongst friends. Even amongst friends, I lend things to people lend them back. Or I invite people to my home, they invite me to their home. And a good host and a good hostess doesn't just, invite the people into their homes, but makes them feel comfortable enough that they don't feel like they're eating somewhere else in some stranger's house and they feel uncomfortable about it. But what's mine is yours, just like what's yours is yours. You enjoy eating in your home, no problem, eat in my home, what's the difference? So it's not just a question of giving, but how we give. Which leads us to the final comment from the Rebbe, who turns the whole thing into how we give. And he says like this. That, and he highlights this word, this word in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says there are 4 types amongst men. He who says, and then it goes on, he who says. So the Rebbe says, one second, we're not talking about people who are not giving. It doesn't say he who gives what's his and takes from others. It doesn't say one who doesn't give and one who doesn't take. Right? It's all about what they say. They say what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. They say what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. So the Rebbe therefore says, we're talking about people who actually give. All 4 of these people actually give. But when they give, what do they say to the recipient? What do they say to the recipient? So you have someone who says, where is that? Here we are. Yeah, one who, let's say the wicked one, right? The one who's the wicked one, he says, what's mine is yours, and what's yours is yours, right? This is, no, that's the pious one, right? No, sorry, the one who says what's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. That's the wicked one, right? So this is a person who's actually giving charity, and maybe he's giving a lot. But when he gives that charity, he lets the person know, oh, you know, everything you have, it's really mine. I gave it to you. You know, sometimes people do it explicitly, and sometimes people are passive in the way they do that, where they'll keep reminding the other person, oh, remember that time I helped you out there? Yeah, so even what you have is mine. That, as Rabbi said, that's the wicked one here. It's not that he's not giving. And Rabbi actually bases this on the premise that all of ethics of our fathers is beyond the letter of the law. I think I mentioned this once, that ethics of our fathers is unique from all the Mishnah, and that all Mishnah is dry, cut and dry law. Whereas ethics of our fathers is not cut and dry law. It's that which is beyond the letter of the law. Now, if that's the case, then all four characters here must be doing the letter of the law and maybe even beyond. So all these four characters are giving charity. It's a question of what do they say when they give that charity? So you have the wicked one who gives lots and lots of charity, but he makes sure the recipients of his charity remember where they got that money from. So it could be a favor also. Did someone a favor? Your constant reminder, oh, remember, I did that favor for you. So that thing you have, this nice thing that's really mine too. What's mine is mine because I earned everything in my life. And what you have is also mine because I helped you get it. That's the wicked one that we're talking about here. And then in the reverse, the pious one, the one who says, what's mine is yours and what's yours is yours. This, says the Rabbi, is someone who gives charity, but would love to give more. He wishes he can give more. So he tells the poor person as he gives the charity, he says, everything I have would be yours. If I could, I would give you so much more. So even though he's giving him a little, but by saying what I have is all yours, he's making him feel comfortable and happy and making him feel like he's a wanted special person. Like, I wish I could help you more. So it's the exact opposite. Whereas you have the wicked person who's giving lots, but making sure that everybody remembers that he was the one who gave it. The wise person, the pious one, might be not giving so much. But when he does, he says to the person, what's yours is yours, you have what you have, and what's mine is yours. I wish I can give you more. I wish I can help you more. And in this way, even though he's not getting any monetary value, at least he's getting the empathy and the love, like the word chesed, pious, also comes from the word chesed, kindness. He's giving him not just monetary value, but giving him kindness with it and telling him, I wish I can give you more. So this is very interesting. Okay, so everything till now has been quoting from other sources. And I'm going to suggest another reading, combining what the Rebbe just said here and combining what we saw earlier in that this is a relationship between us and God, right? So we had this reading which said, it's a question of a relationship between us and God, right? And the person says, what's mine is yours, God, I'm going to serve you. And what's yours is yours. You don't have to pay me back. Now, if we combine that with what the Rebbe said, where the pious one says, I wish I can give you more because what's mine is yours. Now, this might mean then, if you combine the two, that the pious one is the one who turns to God and says, what's mine is yours. I wish I can serve you more. Whatever I serve you, I can do, but I wish I can serve you even more. And then the wicked one would be someone who is serving God. But he tells God, what's yours is mine also. You see all those things I did for you? Check it out. Look at the list of things I've done for you, God. And that's the wicked one. I'm combining this reading here, making it between the relationship between man and God, and the Rebbe's reading that we're talking about not what we do, but what we say. So how do we, let's just, two people are equally serving God, but what do they say to God when they serve God? Do they say to God, I wish I could do more? Like using this example, let's say that, in the Rebbe's reading, you have the wicked one who gave a lot of charity, but reminds the people that they got it from them, right? And then you have the pious one who doesn't give a lot of charity, but tells the person he gives it to, I wish I can do more, right? So then this would be the pious and the wicked in the relationship with God. You have the person who studied the whole Talmud, and he makes sure that God remembers that he did the whole Talmud. And then you have someone who struggles, he has a hard time. So he studies his one page and he barely made it through. And he tells God, I wish I can learn more for you. So who's the pious one here? Who's the pious one? even though the other guy learned the whole thing. Look how much he did for God. He spent hours and hours. But what he says to God is, look what I did for you. I gave you all this. Whereas the pious one maybe doesn't accomplish so much in terms of like that value, because at the time they haven't had education or whatever it is that's holding them back from being able to do much more. But they are the pious one because they say to God, I wish I can do much more. Paralleling this comment of the Rebbe where the person gives charity and says, I wish I can give you and help you more. So here are some readings again in one Mishnah. We can see multiple layers, and we've had some added flavor from us as well, which is always nice. And thank you for the opportunity, and I hope you enjoyed that. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful day, everybody.
No discussion?
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Rabbi.
Yeah, discussion's open. You're welcome to ask questions or discuss or comment.
Okay, I understand in
Yeah.
dealings with people, generally,
Mhm.
we have to be fair, right? But let's say you're involved with somebody that you intend to marry, but you don't trust their nature. You love them, but you don't trust their nature.
Mhm.
You can't say what's mine is yours.
Yeah.
You don't trust her.
It's back to the very first commentary where it's not a wise thing to give away everything you have, right? That's kind of why I mentioned at the beginning that one of the reasons why they give all these interpretations is because it's not smart or wise or even pious to give away everything. It's just abusive, right? Which is why they talk about it in terms of borrowing, or they talk about it in terms of a partnership where there's a little money endowed, or they talk about it in other forms precisely for this point, because just giving away everything you have is not pious. It's just foolish and allowing yourself to be abused, right? So I think that's actually the impetus for a lot of these interpretations to take it away from the literal meaning where the person's just giving away money. So yeah, it's a very fair point. I would agree. Yeah, if someone else wants to share, you're welcome. All right, have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you.